Huge one tonight. Sixers, Heat, 2-2. Who has the edge?
Well, I'm going to give the edge to Miami for the same reason. They're the number one seed for a reason. You cannot possibly shoot the basketball worse than they have the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And actually on the other end of the floor, 16 for 33, Philly. Consecutive games they do that. So Miami, it really comes down to the arc right now. Defend it better and shoot it better. I mean, their primary guys they count on to make threes were 5 for 29 in the last game. Look, and I know a lot of talk out there about Duncan Robinson. I don't know if Spo goes there or not. The guy was 8 for 9 in game 1 against Atlanta for the three-point line, and apparently that offended Eric Spoelstra because he hasn't played since. So maybe you turn there, but you cannot continue to have these empty nights from the three-point line.
He's played 1 minute. They were 7 of 35 from 3 in a winnable game 4. Jimmy G. Buckets had them right in that game, and Duncan Robinson can't get off the bench. I do find it confounding.
Okay, so I would expect Duncan Robinson to get some minutes going forward in this series, but let's put a little context to this. They were before last weekend, they were 20-3 with Max Strus in the starting lineup. What else happened during that time period? Victor Oladipo got healthy, worked his way into the rotation, and he's had some big minutes. They trust Gabe Vincent. Some of it is just a numbers game, unfortunately, for Duncan. But I do think you have to play him. You have to throw him out there, especially because legs, they're running a matchup zone half the game.
I love this because he's speaking like an attorney for a three-point shooter. Right? And I'd be your co-counsel because we got to defend these guys. They gave him $90 million last summer. $90 million.
Put him on the floor.
And look, you can say what you want. Hey, maybe we're not as good defensively. The bottom line is you just went 7 for 35 from the three-point line, and all your role players collectively 5 for 29. I mean, he's sitting over there collecting dust. It'd be interesting to see. Sometimes coaches, though, they don't like when they get that noise.
Right.
It's almost like they dig in deeper. No, like I know what I'm doing. I don't know if Spo has that kind of an ego. So we'll see if he maybe makes that adjustment.
I think he's probably, to me, I think he's the best coach in the entire NBA, and yet I'm telling him what he needs to do, and I hope that he listens. Having said that, it obviously comes clearly down to James Harden at this point, right? If we get the James Harden that we saw in Game 4, and I don't know where that came from because I'd forgotten what it looked like, but then he reminded us all. Do we see that again tonight, JJ?
I don't know if we see it again tonight. I don't know that we need to see it again tonight for the 76ers to win. You think about their team right now. Tyrese Maxey is averaging 22 a game in the playoffs on 50, 40, 90. Their last 2 playoff runs, Tobias Harris was their second option. He's now their 4th option.
Right.
James Harden doesn't need to go for 30. He needs to be a facilitator. He needs to get those guys going. The biggest thing in this series, as Tim mentioned, has been the variance in three-point shooting and Philly having Joel on the court.
Yeah, agreed. For me, look, is James Harden going to replicate that? That's going to be tough to do. I mean, the rest of the postseason for him. But here's the one thing I saw in that game. His lift and his separation on his threes was better than I've seen. And you know what that means? The timing on the release of his deep shot was just better. The arc was better. He looked certain. And it's the first time shooting a deep shot he's looked certain in a long time. And I think that makes you guard him differently. So now, hey, if he's confident again, if he has found that great mix of the three and now getting by you because you're up on your toes, he can play very well. And if he does, Sixers can win this series.
So look, you guys are the experts. It seems to me that Embiid's presence on the court alone changes the dynamic for Harden to some degree, right? There's something down low that the Heat need to pay attention to all by itself. You guys were demonstrating for me in those first 2 games. There were like 8 eyes on Harden everywhere he went all the time. They can't do that now. Is it as simple as that?
There's definitely some gravity that Joel has. But if you look at those shots that he's made, those are contested step-back threes. It's the first time in a Philly uniform he's made 4 of them. Some of it is he just hasn't been efficient making those shots because he's taken those shots. It's not like he's getting wide open looks. Yes, that's his patented shot. But again, we talked about it earlier with Tatum. Like these guys that take difficult shots, there's going to be some variance night to night in their shooting.
To JJ's point, they can win if either he or Maxey plays very well to great. They can't win if Harden struggles and Maxey's just okay. That's when they're going to find themselves in trouble. So that's a great benefit to have. If Tobias Harris is your 4th best offensive player, you got a pretty good offense. But the key has been it's in Harden's lap. How are you going to play tonight? And obviously, if he plays that well and gives them that answer as a primary ball handler to be that kind of a weapon, Philadelphia with Embiid can definitely win this series.
Just a quick funny, or not funny, but just a sort of an aside stick before I run on to something else here is we were joking earlier in the show about Draymond Green making up disrespect for Steph Curry that clearly doesn't exist. Harden, there's been a lot of disrespect. And while right? I mean,
That's not made up, right?
He's
Exactly.
been criticized,
Yeah.
he's been questioned, and I don't think any of us were wrong. It was fully legitimate. And he acts like he doesn't hear it and doesn't really care. But the emotion that he showed on the floor in Game 4 suggested to me that he does. It looked to me like a fire has been lit under him. And why are you laughing at that notion?
Because I'm going to wait to hear what he has to say.
No.
Like, it's just living in Philadelphia as long as I haven't. He played there. I think it has something to do with. I want to hear what Jake has to say first.
It's unavoidable, especially as Legs mentioned. It's unavoidable when you live in Philly. But I think some of the criticism was unwarranted because I heard the word washed. James Harden is not washed. He's a different player. Give me a guy that can go for 20 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds in the playoffs on 59% true shooting. I'll take that guy. That's a really good player. That's a really good player, Greeny.
But I mean, washed comes in a lot of variant, right? It could be dry cleaned, maybe. Like maybe not fully washed, but like a little bit of what's a quick wash, like a spin cycle.
A little patted down.
Yeah, he's not quite what he was, or at least he hasn't looked like.
I was laughing because look, and he played for the Sixers. I did not, but I did play college there, and I've been in that area forever. And what that was literally like a pressure cooker. When he made those shots, the relief that he felt, because listen, nobody going into the postseason and throughout it has been under more scrutiny than James Harden. And he answered the call in an enormous moment. I mean, they got a chance to go on the road and get closed out if he continues to play the way he has. He answered it. They're now at a best of 3. You know how good that must have felt in front of that crowd with everybody wondering what he was good. And not to mention the fact, he's also had moments in his postseason career that were head-scratching moments, right? Yeah. And this was one of those moments that he could have had one.
It's a great point because he struggled so much in the series prior to Game 4 in the fourth quarter. So it was much about it was the timing of it. Like to have a potential game where you go down 3-1 and then to go for 16 or whatever it was in the fourth quarter and have those moments. I get it. The emotion is real, yeah.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.